Do you ever think about this? How much taxpayers' money your agency has spent on net zero policies, only for power bills to continue to get more expensive? Do you ever think about that?
Senator, that doesn't occupy much of my time. We're working on innovation to help lower the cost of the core technologies that go into lowering power bills in the long term. And as you'd appreciate, this innovation cycle takes a while. We've obviously seen the success of solar PV, which was, maybe written off many years ago, but has come through as the lowest cost form of generation in history, as we've noted in past conversations. I'm very confident, actually, that wind technology, solar technology and battery technology, which is coming down the cost curve rapidly, combined at scale, will actually reduce energy costs for Australians.
Is your job to bring down power bills or give money to solar and wind energy? How much does the Australian Renewable Energy Agency currently administer in deployed capital in terms of loans or equity stakes?
Senator, the objects of ARENA, the agency, is set out in the Act, is to improve the competitiveness of renewable energy technologies, increase the supply of renewable technologies and support Australia's decarbonisation emissions reduction objectives. You'd be aware that we're a granting agency, so none of our funding is provided through debt and equity. It's all through the provision of grants. In some circumstances, those grants are recoupable based on performance of the projects, and we make that decision on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you. How much did ARENA issue in grants in the most recent year?
I can get you in a minute or two. My colleague, Mr Farris, could probably find that number in the pack. When we think about the progress of our work in terms of projects, we look at approval rates. Is the key milestone for ARENA when myself in my delegation or our board
it's getting a
or the
project
minister
to approval stage.
When we provide an approval, we then, in most circumstances, are working through to a contract which ultimately lands to be grant money flowing. But that can take months and years in some cases. But I think in the last financial year we provided approvals of 544 million. I think was the 497. I think in the year before was 540. So, per our annual report, funds approved in 23-24 total $445 million, and contracts written, which is a later stage, with $392.5 million in that financial year.
So your key measurable indicator is, what do you call it?
Approvals, yeah, funds approval. Well, it's one of many, but so yes, that's an important...
What do you categorise as
an approval?
Yep.
Is a decision by the CEO, the board or the minister with respect to their relative delegations to provide funding to a particular project in that amount.
Approve the funding.
Approve funding, yes.
Do you know what's your total budget allocation over the forward estimates, the next 4 years?
That'll be in the PBS, Senator, and we will get that number for you if we can. Otherwise, we'll take it on notice and provide it.
Okay. And is that located in one area? All the different components of the money located in one area?
Senator, it's an aggregation of various programs and funding pools that we have been provided by the government over time. Well, let me say governments, because we were well supported by the coalition government a number of years ago and have been even further supported by this government. But it relates to what we call our baseline funding, which is the money that is provided to ARENA, where ARENA's board essentially is the primary decision maker on policy and programmatic objectives. And then in addition, there's about a dozen programs that ARENA is running with specific funding amounts, with specific instructions through the policy instruments, and we're managing all of that through the funding, but it all gets amalgamated ultimately into the forward estimates amount. So I'd be very happy to read you the figures in the forward estimates for each year, revenue from government, if that would help you. So current year's revenue from government is $425 million. The budget for next year is $709 million. The year after that, $735 million. Then we're at $1 billion and $1 million, and then we're at $1.117 billion for the final year of the forward estimates.
Thank you. That's a lot of money.
Last question, Senator Roberts.
Ever since, when did ARENA come on the scene? And ever since then, you've been issuing grants and loans in solar and wind. Have people's power bills actually got cheaper?
Senator, it's not my jurisdiction to talk about power bills, but we came on the scene in 1 July 2012, and as I mentioned
2012?
before... 2012. And as I mentioned before, we don't do loans. We do grants.
Don't do loans?
We don't do loans.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Well, issuing grants then. So you've been spending billions of dollars and power bills have gone up.
Well, Senator, I mean, you should...
I'm asking Mr Miller.
Yes, and I'm entitled to drop in from time to time. It's one of the inconvenient bits of estimates for senators who ask questions. If you go and talk to your constituents in the main street of a country town somewhere in Queensland,
I
know. We saw you beaming in.
But I do more listening than talking.
Yeah. But if you talk to them and then listen to the answer that they give you, engage in a conversation, what you will find is many of them have solar technology on their roofs that substantially decreases their electricity costs.
Well, I was actually talking to a shopkeeper yesterday in Kirkhaven, and she said...
fascinating as that is, I'm just going to keep,
with power bills have gone up dramatically.
answering your question.
It's a number one concern.
That is technology that is invented in Australia, right? Invented in Australia. All the IP and solar panels all around the world, Australian, right? Something that we should be proud of as a country, invented here. Substantially reducing costs for households. Some of them earning a quid because they're under
without
residual...
Your subsidies, without your energy relief, they'd be costs would be higher than ever.
They are substantially...
minimising the costs.
Substantially benefiting from that technology. Now, it's different for different households. Our job as a government is to make sure that the lowest cost technology is in the system. And also to make sure that more of those Australian inventions are commercialised here in Australia, manufactured in Australia, which is Mr Miller and ARENA's work, is to make sure that more of that technology is commercialised in Australia, and they're doing a very good job indeed.
Your policies are driving up prices.
And on that point, I'm afraid we have